Have you ever wondered what it's like to live at the edge of the world, where glistening ice caps stretch as far as the eye can see and ancient Arctic customs still shape everyday life? Picture a place so remote and mysterious that it hardly feels real, yet it brims with stories about shared lives and even tales of wife trading that defy conventional logic. Today, we're delving deep into that icy frontier. Welcome to Greenland, where survival, community, and age-old traditions collide in fascinating ways. Hey everyone, this is Lucas from Unmasked Planet, and I'm thrilled to have you here today. If you're excited to uncover the hidden realities of our planet's most captivating places, then you've come to the right channel. Before we dive in, I'd love for you to comment below with this motivational phrase, "Knowledge shatters boundaries." Join our growing community, and let's explore the unknown together. Greenland is often portrayed as a stark and desolate landscape of ice and snow, and that depiction isn't entirely wrong. This massive island, mostly covered by an ice sheet, experiences some of the coldest temperatures on Earth. Yet, beneath this frost-laden exterior lies a world brimming with life, culture, and long-standing traditions that have evolved alongside nature's most relentless challenges. When we think of Greenland, we might picture imposing glaciers, dramatic fjords, and perhaps small clusters of colorful houses perched on rocky shores. But there's more to Greenland than meets the eye. One of the most intriguing aspects of life. Here is the way communities share resources, cooperate for survival, and maintain bonds that go back generations. In some places, these communal ties gave rise to stories of wife trading among the Inuit peoples, whether as a formal practice, a misunderstood custom, or an embellishment from outside observers. Across the globe, rumors and myths tend to grow from kernels of truth, and Greenlandic communities have long been subject to curiosity and sometimes sensationalism regarding intimate traditions. But what does wife trading actually mean in this context? Is it a casual exchange, a misinterpretation of hospitality customs, or perhaps a cultural practice linked to social unity in an environment where forging alliances can literally mean the difference between life and death? Historians, anthropologists, and even locals themselves have offered perspectives that veer from romanticized tales to straightforward accounts of survival-driven arrangements. For example, early Arctic explorers noted how Inuit families sometimes shared spouses as a way to bond families together. It could be an act of strengthening ties, akin to forging alliances in other cultures through marriage or other forms of mutual commitment. This practice, when viewed through a purely modern lens, might seem shocking. Yet if we set aside our preconceived notions and dive into the survival logic at the heart of Arctic life, we might uncover a more nuanced understanding. Moreover, Greenlandic culture isn't monolithic. Greenland is huge. Its western coast alone is dotted with towns and villages where modern life and ancient custom intersect in different ways. In some more remote areas, people hold firmly to ancestral traditions, while in larger towns like Nuuk, you'll find a blend of Greenlandic, Danish, and international influences. The interplay between old and new is a defining feature of Greenland's identity. In the same day, a local might check Instagram while wearing a sealskin coat that pays homage to their heritage. Climate change is another crucial part of this conversation, dramatically affecting the Arctic's ice sheets and ecosystems. As glaciers recede, new land is exposed, and traditional hunting and fishing grounds shift. Younger generations are caught in the tension between preserving tradition and adapting to a globalized, tech-driven world. This friction can either erode or reshape customs, including intimate social practices that have persisted for centuries. By setting this stage, we hope to pique your curiosity about Greenland's cultural tapestry, particularly the stories surrounding marital customs. We'll delve deeper into the factual basis behind these rumors and discuss the modern-day realities of such practices. After all, when we talk about living in Greenland, we're also talking about forging resilience, strengthening familial and community bonds, and navigating a rapidly changing landscape. In the next segments, we'll look at historical accounts, local testimonies, and the broader implications of a tradition that, true or not, reveals much about human adaptation in extreme environments. Stay tuned for more concrete examples, intriguing tales, and a few surprising revelations about life in this icy realm. Greenland might appear isolated from the rest of the world, but it's brimming with experiences that connect us all through community, survival strategies, and age-old rites. Ready to keep exploring? Let's jump into our first deep dive, where we examine just how these cultural narratives came to be and what they really mean for Greenlanders. Understanding Greenland's social norms and traditional practices requires a look back at Inuit history and the anthropological records left by early explorers. In many Arctic cultures, communal living was a necessity. Food sources, such as seal, whale, and fish, were shared to ensure survival, and entire families often lived under one roof during punishing winters. This closeness naturally extended into social and marital conventions that might seem unorthodox to outsiders. First, let's explore the notion that wife trading was widespread. Historically, certain Inuit groups did indeed have customs that involved sharing partners, but these were nuanced and bound by specific cultural codes, rather than a casual trade. These were sometimes arrangements facilitated to strengthen alliances between families or to ensure that children had extended networks of caretakers. In an environment where every resource was precious, including emotional and social support, forging close bonds could be a matter of life or death. This mutual reliance formed the backbone of communities that faced extreme weather, scarce resources, and isolation. But how did these practices become known to the wider world? When European explorers arrived, they recorded observations, some accurate and others distorted by their own biases. Journals and travelogues described wife swapping or borrowing, often without context or an understanding of the cultural significance behind it. These sensationalized accounts turned into lurid tales, painting a picture of moral laxity that missed the deeper reasons for such practices. Over time, such stories took on a life of their own, perpetuating a narrative that may not reflect the complexity of real Greenlandic customs. Today, as Greenland has modernized and integrated more deeply with the rest of the world, the prevalence of partner-sharing customs has diminished or transformed. Religious influences, especially Christianity, introduced by Danish colonialism, played a role in changing marital norms. Schooling, media, and the continuous influx of global ideas have encouraged younger generations to adopt lifestyles similar to those found elsewhere. Yet, echoes of these old practices sometimes persist in remote settlements or are remembered through oral histories and cultural pride. This evolution invites us to look at how Greenlanders themselves feel about the stories of wife trading. Some elders may speak of it matter-of-factly, recalling a time when survival dictated close communal bonds. Younger people might regard it as an outdated practice irrelevant to their modern lives. Others see it as part of their cultural legacy, something that sets Greenland apart from Western norms, deserving respect rather than scorn. It's also worth mentioning that not all Inuit communities in Greenland had these customs. Practices varied from one region to another, shaped by local resources, climate conditions, and interactions with different explorers or colonial forces. What was normal in one village could have been unheard of in another. Just as cultures worldwide exhibit incredible diversity in marriage and family arrangements, Greenlandic communities, too, are not a single homogeneous entity. By recognizing these historical contexts and modern interpretations, we gain a clearer picture of the social fabric that makes Greenland so remarkable. The concept of wife trading transforms from a sensational headline into a window that offers glimpses of resilience, unity, and the lengths humans will go to ensure their community thrives. Still, there's more to Greenland than intimate customs. There's a mesmerizing interplay between tradition and innovation, like the use of huskies for transportation alongside modern snowmobiles, or the weaving of ancient legends into contemporary pop music. These cultural intersections are part of what keeps Greenland's heritage alive. While some practices fade, others merge seamlessly into new forms of expression. Next, we'll venture into deeper waters, exploring the more complex social, psychological, and ethical dimensions that arise from these kinds of marital traditions. We'll look at how they impact familial structures, community bonds, and Greenland's sense of identity in a rapidly changing Arctic. If you think the story ends here, think again. The currents of Greenlandic culture run deep and wide, offering insights far beyond the realm of marital customs and straight into the core of human adaptability. Now that we've laid out the foundations, let's delve into the more intricate facets of these customs. Understanding wife trading, or more accurately, spouse sharing, involves exploring moral and ethical questions. How does a community reconcile such practices with broader ideas about personal autonomy and consent? How do these ancient traditions align or conflict with contemporary global standards of human rights and gender equality? First, consider the context of consent. While earlier accounts might give the impression that women were merely commodities to be traded, many anthropological studies point to the opposite. Women often had a strong voice in these arrangements. Given the communal nature of Inuit society, decisions that affected the family and by extension the community were rarely made unilaterally. In some traditional accounts, women were free to refuse such exchanges or had input on when and how they occurred. This stands in stark contrast to the more sensational narratives found in early travel diaries. Second, we must acknowledge the lens of survival. In Arctic conditions, forging alliances could mean securing additional sources of food, shelter, and mutual protection. These alliances weren't only about sex or pleasure. They formed extended familial networks that improved the odds of surviving harsh winters and unpredictable hunts. In modern urbanized societies, we seldom face life or death scenarios tied to resource scarcity, so it's crucial to avoid projecting contemporary norms onto historical or remote communities without context. Over time, missionaries, Europeans, settlers, and governmental policies introduced new moral frameworks. Christianity, with its focus on monogamous marriage, clashed with practices like spouse sharing. As religious institutions gained influence, many Greenlanders gradually shifted toward a more Western concept of family. However, remnants of the older system lingered, often discreetly. For some, it remained a private arrangement, less about formal trades and more about flexibility and close-knit relationships. Interestingly, in some remote pockets of Greenland, older customs quietly persist, sometimes in a modernized form. For instance, close friendships among couples might lead to arrangements that echo past practices, but they're usually kept low profile, partly out of respect for cultural change and partly to avoid outside judgment. Indeed, anthropologists have pointed out that it's not only about sharing wives, but also about sharing responsibilities, child rearing, and communal support structures. Let's bring in a broader perspective. Cross-cultural comparisons show that spouse sharing or similar arrangements have existed in various parts of the world, often in regions where survival required tight-knit collaborations. From certain Polynesian islands to remote areas of Siberia, these traditions served social and economic purposes. Greenland's version, then, isn't entirely unique. It's part of a human tapestry where marriage and partnership structures have always been molded by environmental and cultural forces. But how do Greenlanders today feel about their portrayal? By outsiders, modern Greenlanders, especially urban residents, can feel alienated or stereotyped by simplistic narratives. The image of Eskimos trading wives is often used as a shock factor in media, overlooking the complexity of Inuit culture. This oversimplification can even harm tourism or cultural exchanges, as travelers arrive with preconceived notions that overshadow the island's majestic landscapes, rich art scene, and contemporary challenges like climate change. Moreover, younger Greenlanders stepping into global social media forums often push back against these stereotypes, using platforms to share stories of innovation, art, and personal achievements. In essence, Greenland is no longer just an isolated, Arctic outpost. Its people are part of the global conversation, shaping their identity in ways that honor tradition, while also embracing modernity. In the next block, we'll move toward concluding our exploration by tying these insights together. We'll revisit the questions we posed. Is wife trading still a reality? How have these practices influenced modern Greenlandic life, and what does their evolution say about human adaptability? Most importantly, we'll connect these lessons to everyday life, highlighting how we can apply what we've learned to foster empathy, open-mindedness, and respect for cultural diversity, wherever we call home. Throughout this journey, we've explored the layered narrative of Greenland's wife-trading tradition, from its possible historical roots as a survival mechanism to its transformation under modern influences. We've discovered that the real story goes far beyond shock value. It's a testament to how communities adapt, innovate, and sometimes hold on to or reshape customs in the face of new religions, ideologies, and external pressures. So, let's answer the big questions we raised. First, does the tradition of wife trading still exist? In a purely historical sense, such practices were far more common in earlier times when survival depended on communal cooperation. Nowadays, in the larger towns and cities, Western-style relationships predominate, influenced by international norms, education, and religious beliefs. However, in some isolated regions, remnants or echoes of this system might linger, but they're generally quite rare, nuanced, and less visible. More importantly, these arrangements today often respect personal autonomy, unlike the distorted tales passed down through colonial-era accounts. Second, what impact does this tradition have on modern Greenlandic life? The legacy remains in the collective memory of many Greenlanders, shaping discussions about their cultural identity. Though it may not define day-to-day life in Greenland, it remains an intriguing part of the island's historical fabric. Its memory occasionally surfaces in family stories or local folklore, revealing how resourcefulness can manifest in unexpected ways. Third, why is understanding this topic crucial? In a world that's increasingly interconnected, appreciating the intricacies of different cultures fosters respect and empathy. When we dig beneath sensational headlines, we uncover stories of human resilience that can inspire us. Greenlanders have thrived in one of the planet's most unforgiving environments for centuries. Their culture, wife-sharing practices included, offers lessons in adaptability, community cohesion, and the extraordinary lengths humans will go to secure survival and well-being. Finally, how do we reconcile tradition with modern values? Greenland's story exemplifies the delicate balance between preserving heritage and embracing global progress. On one hand, modern Greenlandic families are seeking the same things families seek worldwide: stability, love, and safety. On the other, many still cherish their ancestral ties, whether through language, cuisine, or the retelling of old customs. This balancing act can spark friction, but it can also lead to creative fusion, seen in everything from the melding of Christian holidays with Inuit folklore to the wearing of traditional clothing at events where modern suits are also present. Reflecting on all this, we see that wife trading isn't just a practice locked in the past. It's an entry point to understanding cultural resilience, historical context, and the evolution of a society standing at the crossroads of tradition and modernity. By observing how Greenlanders navigate these complexities, we glean insights into our own cultural assumptions. We learn the value of openness, curiosity, and reserving judgment until we fully understand the context. As we wrap up this discussion, it's essential to remember that the story of Greenland is far richer than any singular practice. From the mesmerizing northern lights to the shifting ice sheets, from its ancient legends to its contemporary youth advocating for sustainability and cultural revival, Greenland is an ever-evolving tapestry. The tales of communal living and partner sharing are but one thread, yet they capture the imagination because they challenge many of our assumptions about marriage, family, and social norms. Before we part ways, I want to thank you for joining me, Lucas, on this deep dive into the stunning and complex world of Greenland. If you found yourself surprised or intrigued by the real stories behind these customs, be sure to stick around for more content just like this. We've got a recommended video waiting for you at the end, where we explore another remote culture grappling with the forces of change. Don't miss it. Remember, here on Unmasked Planet, our goal is to look beyond the surface and uncover the truths that mainstream narratives often overlook. Whether it's challenging a preconceived notion, embracing cultural differences, or learning something totally new, each of our explorations aims to expand how we see the world and ourselves in it. I'd love for you to hop down into the comments and share your thoughts on this question. How can exploring remote traditions help us grow more open-minded? Let's spark a conversation about curiosity, respect, and the power of learning from cultures so different from our own. And if you haven't yet joined our growing community, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an episode of Unmasked Planet. Thanks again for being here, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. This is Lucas, signing off. Stay curious, stay compassionate, and remember, the more we unmask our planet, the more we discover how truly connected we all are. Safe travels, explorers!